Hey everyone, I'm Clue. Today we're going over the technical side of advancement. So last time we showed off the beginnings of the advancement system I'm creating for my data pack. And now we'll sort of explain how I assembled it exactly, including obviously the different icons, as well as the structuring, including the alternate tab. Okay then, so where to start exactly? Well, like usual, we gotta open up the folders. We can minimize that too, we don't need it full. So I've got my advancement folders here corresponding to Runechant, so this is that first tab. And then I actually have another data pack folder for the alternate tab. I don't know if it's possible to create multiple advancement tabs within the one data pack. From my understanding, you can't because of the root objective, if you will. That obviously ties together with the tab. So the fact that you need another root and you can't name it anything other than root, the only method that I could come up with to creating two tabs is to actually have multiple data packs. So we do have both Runechant and Runecrafting, and then any other sort of codex entries where I use the advancement tab to showcase, I will have to come up with different data packs. Okay, then for the actual advancements. So in your data pack, you've got your advancements folder, and you need to start off with a root advancement. This depicts the tab, the first icon, and the background. So if we go ahead and open it, we can see that it has display, icon, so end crystal, title, Runechant, which is the same title for both the tab and the actual advancement, description, only shown on the advancement, background, so this is the texture for the background. You can designate any image you want. It doesn't have to be from the Minecraft directory. You can use your own data pack directory. I believe, sorry, not data pack, resource pack directory, but I find it's easiest just to pull from blocks in Minecraft. I might be wrong about that, but that is my understanding. And then criteria, how to unlock it. So right now I just have it set to tick. So as soon as the player loads up the data pack, they will be granted this advancement. But there are a few other useful triggers, if you will, that I like to use. I'm not going to go over everything. If you want a more in-depth showcasing of all the different triggers, I would look at the wiki, though a lot of them are highly specific and made solely for the advancements that are actually in Minecraft. A lot of these have very specific triggers that Mojang have created solely for these advancements. 8 out of 8. Interesting. I wonder if that starts at 0 out of 8. I don't think so. We're getting off topic anyway. Okay, so then how do I actually write out advancements? Because that's another thing I should probably say. I do everything in relation to the data pack in either Excel, simply because it's so easy to copy over blueprints and just change source cells, or I write them out in the actual files of the data pack. I don't use any sort of studio online editor. I write it out by myself. So I like to start with this sort of template. As you can see, template.json doesn't correspond to any of the advancements in game, but it is what I copy and paste essentially to create all my different advancements. So here it has all the things that I usually want to edit or change listed out nice and neatly. So starting off, we have the icon, which you can set as any item in the Minecraft directory, or again, I presume your own resource directory. So for instance, mine being Runechant. If I change this to Runechant, I should be able to select the items off of their JSONs, I believe. I believe that's how it selects. Then we can also define a custom model data. So that is how I have all these unique images. For instance, any of the items in game, like the runes, the infused paper, the nails, the membrane paste, they're all items that I've already made through custom model data. So if I just give myself any of these items, so for instance, we'll do iron nuggets. Oh, that is not nuggets. With the custom model data, equal to 1997-1. That is the sort of initial digits I am using to try to make sure there's no overlap with my resource pack and any other resource pack that adds custom models. And we get ourselves our iron nail, which of course is just called a nugget because it is an iron nugget retextured. And that is what I select using custom model data, or this NBT tag, to then actually create a unique icon for the advancement. So for instance, all of these seasons, I've taken my seasonal icons and I have just made custom model data using, well, I can't even remember what item. I'm pretty sure it's just paper. So if I gave myself paper corresponding to any of these values, I could get these images, but I'm just using that to be able to input the images into the actual advancement tab. After that, so after the icon segment, we now have all the information on the little advancement. So we have title. So for instance, this one would be season - pedal breeze. Then we have description, which is obviously the green text for goal. I think it's a different color depending on the frame. So this one has purple. Do we have the other frame somewhere? Yes, here we are, which is also green, hired help. So yeah, those are the 3 frames: challenge, goal, and task. Task being square, goal being this concave or circular, and then challenge being the spiky one. Okay, so set the title, set the description, select either challenge, goal, or task. Then we get show toast, announcer chat, and hidden. So show toast is whether or not it pops up in the top right hand corner. Announcer chat is whether or not it's put into the chat. And then hidden is whether or not the player can see it from the get-go. So for instance, I do hide a lot of my advancements so that the player isn't overwhelmed with them or guided towards them until they actually get the specific items needed to unlock them. I think that is a pretty decent way of handling things, so I do like to make use of the hide. If you want to just have all the information available to your player, I would say don't use this hidden tag, just leave it as false. That way the player can open the advancement tab, see all the different advancements, and then go after what they want to go after depending on your descriptions. Okay, then the other important thing is to start setting up a family tree, if you will. So parent, Runechant, and then in here we put the advancement that precedes it. So for instance, if you want to tie it to the root advancement, you type in root. If you want to tie it to any other specific advancement, you need to name it the same as that advancement file. Okay, so the .json, not what the title is on the advancement, but what the file is called. After that, we can define triggers. So these are the 3 core triggers I like to use. So an inventory change, whether or not the player gets a certain item, usually defined with NBT in my case, so I can make sure it only triggers off of specific pack unique items, if you will, that I have modified again through either custom model data or just straight NBT lore display different information. And then also trigger player killed entity. This one is super useful if you're creating mobs or specialized entities, right? So bosses. This way the player can get the advancements once they have actually defeated your custom entities. And then tick. Actually, there should be one more, but impossible. So tick is it's granted as soon as the player meets another condition, being, in this case, predicates. So predicates are a huge system that I myself have only scratched the surface with, and in general only use NBT. Right, so I can search for the NBT of a player to match this, and off of NBT I can look for certain items in the inventory, equipment, anything off of that, which I know you can do with specific predicates, but I like just having a broad sense that then I can type out and, well, somewhat memorize, right? So again, I use inventory change, player killed entities, and tick. You know what, I'll open the wiki and we'll look over the other ones that are actually advertised, and we'll sort of showcase why a lot of them aren't super applicable. Right, so here we are on the wiki, and this is the entire list of triggers that you can use. So we've got ally, drop item on block, again, super specific, avoid vibration, super specific, bee nest, breed animals. Animals, if you create your own mobs, I guess this one is applicable. Brood potions, I don't know exactly how to do custom potions. I've tried looking into the recipes, it doesn't look like you can change it. The only way you can sort of influence it is through commands, which then wouldn't actually grant the advancement off of simply brewing a potion. Change dimension, if you create your own dimensions, is useful. Channeled lightning, super highly specific. Beacon specific, consume item. It's, if you again create those types of items, which I'm not, then it is applicable. But in general, you can accomplish any of these other advancements specific settings, right, off of the tick and predicates. So that is why I find that the best sort of trigger to use, because it is highly customizable. If we open the predicates, so if I go to data pack and then predicates, you can see exactly how expansive this is. So these are all the different predicates you can set up. Again, the only one I was using is to check the entity data. So where is it? Entity properties, and then looking for NBT specifically that I can then set to either include any of these other flags. But hey, you can just use straight up these flags if you want a simpler setup. I would highly suggest looking at predicates. I, again, myself am not experienced in using predicates, so I keep it very basic, very understandable to what I am able to, again, write out for myself, because I do everything manually. And then lastly, the other important trigger is impossible. So impossible cannot be unlocked in any fashion other than commands, meaning that you can tie this to a specific function that you've set up in your data pack. So for instance, I use impossible on a lot of the crafting mechanisms. So for instance, the art of rune crafting, which is unlocked by actually crafting a rune. So that is only unlocked to the player through a command corresponding to the first time they craft a rune. That way, it's something that I can quantify and find with commands and grant the closest player, so hopefully the player who's actually crafting the rune. Other than that, we can go over one of the advancements quickly, but I think that pretty much sums things up. We'll do Crucible Layer, right? Okay, so this is tied to the root. So again, creating a family tree, if you will, and I'm using inventory change to search for when the player picks up a soul campfire. So the minimum one, I can set a max, so all they need is at least one soul campfire to unlock the advancement. And then for the actual show toast, announce to chat, and hidden, it is hidden, so it's not shown to the player until they actually get the item to actually utilize the system, because again, this is all about explaining to the player how to make the Enchanter's Crucible. And then we also have it not announced to chat, but it is shown as a toast. That way the player who unlocks it has a little flag on their screen, but it's not just cluttered to every other player who doesn't actually necessarily need this information. So those are the types of things to sort of think about when utilizing these show toast, announce to chat, and hidden mechanics. Other than that, again, I stick to these 3 core triggers since they are all I really need to use in general. So inventory change for any time they find a custom item or an item corresponding to something I want them to utilize. So in this case, building a multi-block structure, they need that soul campfire. And then entities killed, perfect for any custom mobs that the player has to fight, battle, and conquer. Tick, if you just want to look for certain predicate conditions. Again, the most flexible and customizable. You can use this in itself to test for inventory change or even player killed entities, I believe. Right, you can test for 2 different entities, something like that. Again, look up predicates. I will be looking up predicates. I'm sure I'll become more experienced as things go on. And then finally, impossible is similar to the whole scoreboard mechanic, right, of triggers. So it is just for you to set up your own advancements that you can then trigger with commands rather than having any other conditions, making them easily tied into other commands that actually run effects. So we'll actually take a look at that quickly. We'll go to functions. We'll go to grinder, right? It should be one of the unlocks. And there should be an advancement somewhere here. Find it. There we go. Okay, so stuck in the middle of grinding up glow ink into paper to make infused paper, we have run advancement grant closest player rune crafting route. Okay, so this gives them the unlock of that secondary tab that actually showcases all the other crafting recipes. All right, so hopefully that helps some of you. Again, I'm learning as I go, and this is more of a introspective series, right? Where yes, I am trying to explain the technical side, but don't bank on me being the perfect teacher, if you will. If this has helped, that's wonderful to hear. If you have anything to actually help me or advice, that is also really warranted. Anyway, hope you enjoyed. Cool. Don't say goodbye, and see you next time.